All right, I have another video for you. Oregon's coronavirus restrictions ruled null and void after governor failed to get approval from legislator. So there seems to be Wisconsin, something similar happened, and like other states are like where kind of government officials have like overreached their powers. They're either the Supreme Courts of the states are stepping in, or maybe they're getting sued by individuals or businesses. This was published a day ago, and this one's through Fox News. So, a judge in Oregon on Monday ruled that Governor Kate Brown's coronavirus restrictions were null and void after the Democratic lawmaker failed to have her emergency orders approved by the state's legislature in 28 days. So it seems like with the executive order, they can get something thrown out there, kind of like with the president. The president of the United States can't like declare war, but they can have like kind of like military action, but it has to be approved by the legislators within a certain amount of time to actually declare war. Baker County Circuit Judge Matthew Shirtcliffe made the ruling Monday in a lawsuit brought by churches who said the social distancing directives were unconstitutional because you have your freedom of speech, your freedom to peacefully assemble, your freedom of religion. And there's like other states too, like in Virginia, where like the Department of Justice, I believe, sided with the churches against Ralph Northam. The suit had also urged that emergency powers only last for a month, and after that, Brown would have needed legislative approval. The judge agreed. Brown said she would immediately appeal the ruling to the state Supreme Court to try to keep the emergency orders in effect. This will ensure we can continue to safeguard the health of all Oregons, including frontline healthcare workers, those living in nursing homes, workers in agricultural and food processing plants, which is funny they bring that up, and Oregons with underlying health conditions while the legal process moves forward. With all, like, there's a lot of people out of work. There's like people having issues being able to afford either their rent or mortgage or food because they're out of work. They're like deemed non-essential, so they can't work. Employment benefits, people are still like a month later still having issues like not being able to get them. Then you're starting to have disruptions in the supply chain. And with all these restaurants that have been closed for like the last 6 weeks, like a lot of these farmers are like having to, I've seen them like dump like massive amounts of onions. Like certain livestock can't get butchered. Milk you can't just give raw milk out. It has to go to processing plants to get like pasteurized and get bottled. And it's like there's these massive disruptions. I think Tyson Chicken, or there's some place saying they're going to have to kill like 2 million of their livestock because they're not going to be able to essentially get it out to market. Where was I at on this? Ray Hack, the attorney who represented the plaintiff, said in a phone interview Monday, the ruling invalidates Brown's ban on churches gathering for worship, but also the entire stay-at-home order. Common Sense intervened after the Sacramento-based Pacific Justice Institute filed the case earlier this month on behalf of Oregon businesses, expanding the scope, he said. The stay-at-home order is no longer in effect. It is invalidated. If people want to get their hair cut, they can. They can leave their home for any reason, whether it's deemed essential in the eye of the state or not, he said. He added that the ruling was a vindication, not just for freedom of religion, but for the Oregona's freedom. Praise God, I'm excited, and I'm glad that the judge saw that there are limitations on the governor's power, even in the midst of emergencies, he said. Shortcliffe, the judge, was the district attorney of Baker County from 2001 until Brown appointed him judge last September, with the appointment having taken effect November 1st. And there's this like big issue too with like all of these because there's like a lot of states, the state capitals I know here in Ohio they did, in Michigan they were having kind of like protests. I think even some out in California too. And you'd hear these people like, oh, you'd hear people like, I don't know if it's like people on the left or whatever it is, like, oh, they're protesting the virus, or they're protesting because they want a haircut. Like, no, they're not protesting the virus. They're protesting the fact that the government deemed their business not essential, and now they're not able to afford food. There's all these like people like not being able to like pay their bills, not being able to like afford food, going to food banks. There's like massive lines at food banks. Food banks were like running out of like supplies and money and food. You even had I want to say Jeff Bezos donated like $100 million to food banks to try to like help offset the situation. Then the fact, I mean, like some people just don't. I don't know why they don't. I mean, yes, there's the idea to like not try to spread things, but like all these businesses are like more than willing to like use safe precautions. With the haircut thing, and what they were like trying to get a haircut, there was a woman in like northern Texas, and there's another salon owner too that came up recently where they were like trying to run their businesses. They were just doing it by appointment. They were having like one person in at a time. You know, the mask, the gloves, the full safety precautions, everything. Then she went in front of a judge because they had cited her at first. Then they were essentially going to jail her too because they took her in front of the judge telling her that she was selfish for like trying to do this. She's like, no, I'm trying to like feed my kids. I have like workers going without food because they're using what food they have to feed their kids. He was like, oh, if you apologize, then we'll just give you a fine. She's like, no, I'm not apologizing. So they're like sentencing her to jail. But luckily, I believe the Supreme Court in Texas kind of like, I think she still spent like a day in jail, but they like overruled the judge's order and got her out of jail. So there's like I mean, you got to keep in mind that like there's a lot of these people that spent like all this time, like they've spent like a decade or two like trying to build up a business and make something of himself. You even have like the guy from Barstool. He did like this massive like complaint on Twitter. What's his name? I can't remember. But it's on there where he's complaining. Like, I believe he's in New York maybe. He's like, oh, we had to like stay like shelter in place to like flatten the curve, and all of a sudden it's like they like move the goalpost to like find a cure, or like flatten the curve. Then like now it's like they're trying to find a curve, which like they're moving this thing. They can't have people just like stay shelter in place indefinitely when they're not even like able to. Then you have people saying like they have like laws in place where you can't get evicted, or they're moving stuff on the mortgage where you can't get foreclosed on. But still, like, because if you have a $2,000 mortgage, then it gets pushed back to 3 months. On that fourth month, like it's all due. Say if you owe like $2,000 a month, then all of a sudden like $8,000 becomes due at once. So, I mean, a lot of this shouldn't have happened in the first place. So if you'd like this, you can give me a like. If you really liked it, you can like and subscribe. If you're on Facebook, you can like and give me a follow. And I'm also putting it on BitChute here. If you really would like to support me, I have a subscribe star here. You can donate to and be kind of like a monthly patron. And I'll post all this stuff here. All right. Thanks. Later. Bye. Let me know what you think in the comments below.